2 days ago, specifically on Thursday, 3rd of November, I was at the Serena Hotel when Raila Odinga was addressing the press. As I listened to the statement, I got thinking. I've thought about it for the past 2 days. And a disturbing picture is beginning to emerge. After the 2017 election, and with the trouble and the problems we were in, I looked at what was going on in the country, and I was among the few people, I think, who urged President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga to get together. They may not have listened to me, but I was happy when, on the 9th of March the following year in 2018, the handshake happened. There are those who don't see value in that handshake. But there are those like me who see beyond politics. And I know a lot of the things that we have enjoyed since then would not have been possible without that handshake. In fact, those who have taken over power and have been rubbishing that handshake must know within themselves that there perhaps would be no country for them to take over. So when on Thursday I listened to Raila Odinga, a disturbing picture is beginning to emerge. Last Saturday I talked about the need for Uhuru to fear Raila, the Raila who may go back to default factory setting, the Raila of the 1980s and 90s, the Raila of the trenches. And I said I had listened to Raila after the elections at the KICC. Coincidentally, I was in Mombasa at the White Sands Hotel when he also talked tough. And recently again. So I'm adding up these things and I'm getting some bad images. Let's begin with what Raila was responding to. In that statement, Raila was referring to what they see as victimization. In particular, Raila was talking about the possible victimization of immediate past director of DCI, Mr. George Kinoti. And of course, the junior police officers who are facing trial for extrajudicial killing of some Asian person. Now, why am I disturbed? I'm disturbed because, first, this discussion, this conversation is taking place within the context of security. Within the context of the president and his government purging people in the security sector. And Raila, on the other hand, not just responding, but doing so in a manner and in a way that can raise passion. And remember, I'm talking about the security sector. So why am I disturbed? I'm disturbed because I believe strongly that both Raila Odinga and the President William Ruto must be cautious when dealing with the security sector. Because here you identify a number of officers for sanction, for prosecution, for removal from office. And here is another national leader of the stature of Raila Odinga saying it is not only wrong, it is not only unfair, it's not only partial, it is not only targeting, but also saying in a manner that, for lack of a better word, and I want this to come out clearly, For lack of a better word, that can be said to be incitement. Unintentional incitement. Because what you are saying could be true. But when somebody of the stature of Raila Odinga comments on something of that level, of that nature, I see danger. And I therefore am advising the president and Raila Odinga to put country first. For example, for the president, if indeed it was necessary to disband the SSSU and to purge certain police officers, it must not and it should not be done in a manner to be seen as purging within the security sector. One has to be very careful. Especially if you have a person of the stature of Raila Odinga pointing out that as being not just unfair, but unreasonable, uncalled for, and saying, then why don't we start from where it started? Why don't we even start from 2013? And going ahead, I listened to that statement, and I was a very disturbed person. Because Raila goes ahead to give names, examples of names of people who have died in mysterious circumstances. Some of them like Msando and Jacob Juma in very disturbing circumstances. And saying, why not these ones? Why don't we invite the Scotland Yard? Why don't we invest? That is what I'm calling dangerous. And if you don't see it's dangerous, please think twice. Take your time to listen to what I'm saying. And because I'm talking about national leaders, Raila Odinga and William Ruto, I want them to be cautious when handling matters of this nature. It is over things like this that leaders sit down, that Raila and Ruto can sit down not to discuss Nusumkate. I know that makes some people very restless. Not to discuss the handshake of Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, no. But for them to put on the table some of these things that are very disturbing and which playing in the public can cause trouble to the country. In the same vein, I do not see anything to be gained by the president seeming to target certain persons. And this we must say, because it is important. When you flag out certain people for prosecution, for investigations, or for dismissal, and when those persons, by and large, almost all of them, are from the Azimio side, Your Excellency, the public perception surely is persecution. The people wouldn't know the insides. They wouldn't look. The way this idea of identifying the Atolis, the Murathes, the Jirongos, against the acquittal of the Waititus, you know, the Aisha Jumas, and the conclusion they draw is obvious to everybody. They say it is revenge. And revenge has never helped anybody. At my age, I should know. People who have lived as long as I've lived will always advise younger people that revenge has never helped anybody. Never. When you have dealt with your so-called enemy, you sit back later and ask, what did I gain? Therefore, chasing after people merely because perhaps they oppose you, that doesn't serve any purpose. Those are the things we did when you were young, including drawing the line in the sand and saying, if you are a man, can you cross it? It is very easy if you are in power for small fellows around you overzealous fellows around you to push you into witch hunting, into chasing people who they believe were giving you a hard time. And in fact, unless you put down your foot, Your Excellency, and tell them, I have a government to run, I have promises to deliver, I have no time for trivial chasing after people. Because if you don't do that, then they will even execute those things on your behalf. They will purge people on your behalf. They will sack people. They will deny people promotions. And they could do worse in your name. Yet, like I've said, wakati mtu amekukosea, the best option in life, I know at my age, is always to leave them and let them deal with their guilt. It is better punishment for a person who meant ill to you, for a person who opposed you and stood in your way, for a person who victimized you, who did everything possible to haunt you, to disturb you, so long as they didn't kill you. It is better to leave them to their own designs and to their own conscience than attempt to punish them. It's the experience you get when you have lived in this world. In any case, if I'm the president, I have no time to follow these small matters. I have time to deliver. Because as president, for example, you could spend so much energy and time chasing people, and you succeed in pacifying the country and pacifying people. Because this tactic is an age-old tactic. You don't go for the big man and the big men, you go for the small people. Then you scare everybody so that nobody associates with somebody like Raila. It's an age-old tactic. It works. But in the bigger, wider picture of building the nation, it doesn't serve you any purpose and doesn't work. Why? Because even if you succeed in pacifying the opposition, and you spend a lot of your energy, you have people on the other side, the really people, the really voter, and the people with the real power to remove you from power. So I would rather want to spend time fulfilling their promises to these people, to making them happy, than thinking you will be more successful by dealing with your opponents at leadership level. It's important for the purpose of re-election to play your game in such a way that these people are not in a position to match you in 2027. But it will be a better way to satisfy the public by doing those things you promised. Because then they will be on your side. Even if Raila and these people were to try to give you hell, and the people are on your side because you've given them what you promised them, they can make all the noise they want. They will never touch you. You'll be re-elected. So I'm thinking in general, for Raila Odinga, find it in your heart to be careful about the way you engage. Look at the buttons you press. Because certain matters are so sensitive, even if somebody has approached them wrongly, you do not call a press conference to deal with them. You look for him, or you find a way of dealing with it. Because you can spur tension in the country. And for the president, even if you people don't sit down together and talk, I urge that we think of country all the time. If you must deal with people within the context of economic sabotage, the so-called state capture, within the context of abuse of office, people in the... You have to do that very carefully, very conscious of the fact that you are dealing with a very sensitive sector. And on the other hand, the opposition must also know certain things are not to be played in the public for the sake of opposition. Because at the end of the day, even when the president is doing a good thing, it may not be in the interest of anybody, including the opposition, to criticize for the sake of criticizing. Because at the end of the day, people can also see that which the president is doing could be a good thing. So when you criticize that which the president is doing and is a good thing, you lose the following also. So I'm calling and advising both sides. One, to approach matters like security with a lot of caution. I'm sure those in the security sector, when they listen to me, they know what I'm talking about. I'm urging politicians not to handle the security sector the way you handle just about anything or your politics. I'm urging the president also, in dealing with those who have engaged in economic sabotage, in those who are engaged in abuse of office, perhaps to harass you, to stop you from being president. Now that you are president, the bigger thing is to ignore them. Ignore them. Even those working, let them work. The moment they go wayward, you sack them on the basis of what they will have now done. And if somebody must be pursued because of criminal charges, whatever it is, if somebody must be pursued because of misdeeds, let it also come out clearly. Because matters public cannot be separated from perception. Let people not see that the president or his government is pursuing those people who are against him. So you play it in a way, you achieve what you wanted, but without creating the perception that you are persecuting one side. This should be very clear to Your Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. In 2003, the Kalenjin nation believed Kibaki was persecuting them, was removing them from power, was isolating them, was sacking their sons and daughters. I've tried to find out whether it was true. I think it wasn't even true. What was the result? In 2007, the Kalenjin to a man, including President William Samoei Ruto, all voted for Raila Odinga in ODM. Why? That the Kalenjin believed Kibaki was purging them. So matters of public, I tried to understand. I never saw it. Because Sally Koske had to leave. Kinyua is leaving. There are people who go with the president. The president's men must go with the president. So it cannot be that Kibaki was purging them. But public perception, if the public believes you are a witch hunting, you are going after the Azimio people, you are going after Kinoti because he was persecuting you. If the public perceives that, then you can see what I'm talking about. And more so, if this is within the context of sensitive areas. My advice today to both the opposition and government, play this game, knowing very well country is bigger than any of us. That those who wronged us yesterday can become our friends today. That some people are best left to fight with their own conscience. If you thought William Ruto would never be president and he is, that's enough punishment for you. As you switch on your TV, you see President Ruto talking. That is enough punishment. Nobody should give you another punishment. But if you committed some wrong, the government should come for you. But I'm only urging that when the government is coming for people who have committed atrocities, it must never be in a way to be construed as meaning that the government is engaged in selective application of the law, in targeting people from one side of the political divide. It is not good for country. It has never been good for any country. And the opposition, in criticizing government, must do so reasonably, with caution, because they know if government succeeds, Kenyans will have succeeded. I've urged before that Raila Odinga and his team should give William Ruto at least 1 year. They see how he's playing the game. Because if you say there should be no taxes, perhaps it's necessary. You give the government time to play out that game. In any case, if it didn't work, it would be in your interest. But the interest we should all be looking for is the interest of the country. And that interest of the country is best served when both government and opposition are driven by the desire to move this country forward.